So, if you've been listening to my recent series, it's the Seeds We Plant series. I've been going off of a list that I printed, oh my gosh, about 2 years or so ago. That I just, it was 50, it's 52 virtues. And I've just been using that list in our devotion, breakfast and devotion time with our children, my children, my son and my daughter. And I've shared before, and I want to make this note. I think this is so pivotal to the opportunities that we have as a parent. You know, initially, I wanted a son and daughter. I put that request out in the universe: a curly head boy, a curly head girl, a one and done. And I also requested specific traits for my husband. And today, over, oh my gosh, 30 years later, I have the curly head boy and the curly head girl and the husband that I requested from the universe. And there was a time, though, in my life, in my 20s, mid 20s, where I had, for a moment, allowed fear to visit me because of what I saw in the world. And I thought, it was a lot of violence going on in the world. And I was thinking, why bring children, new children, into this world that is full of violence? And I would just do better adopting. And I actually just got a pivotal moment. It's not about me bringing children into this world, it's about God, our creator, whoever you may call him. I grew up with the word God, that it is his doing to bring people into the world to express him, his traits. So although I had those thoughts, our creator knew otherwise, that through me was going to be my son and daughter, that I would have the opportunity to share the principles that my mother taught us growing up, and I would have the opportunity to share the lessons that I learned as well as the lessons I learned from other people. And so I consider it a challenging opportunity, is what I call it, to be able to share principles with our children: a son, a daughter, a man, a woman who will go out into the world, and my hope is to help make this world a better place. And that was how I tackled my fear in my mid 20s, is that, wait a minute, I grew up with principles. I could share those with them and help them to and help and they could be the light in the world. They could help again make this world better. So we've been going through alphabetically virtues in our breakfast and devotion. I pretty much do this 5 days a week. Weekends, it's not as well as it was when we were in Oregon. But last week the word was respect, and much of what that has transpired over years and years and years, even recently, when you think about George Floyd and think about all the other incidents that's been happening, the shootings in school. When we think about that, the word respect is pivotal to changing how we not only feel about ourselves, but how we feel about others. We have a couple of Bible verses that before I started recording, I thought of a couple of Bible verses, and I looked them up just to make sure I would share the right verse with you. And remember, my thing is about sharing things that will help. It's not about religion. It's about more of becoming who we are, becoming what's already in us, these characteristics endowed by a creator, that we don't have to go searching for them. We actually are them. We are respect. We are love. We are compassion, grace, and mercy. And it's through our free will that we choose to do otherwise. It's not what others do to us, but it's what we choose to be or to express. And so I was talking to my children about respect because, as you know, children, they get in their quarrels and push and fight and kick. And sometimes, and it was more often, earlier where you hear the little name calling and the frustrations and um, something that my mother often did not, she was not in agreement of. She grew up with a father who was big on not name calling, respecting people because he experienced it himself and shared his story, not his so much of, he shared his pain, but what my mother took was the lesson, and it was to call people by their name. And that's one of the things that often go underlooked, is, people have names. They have their birth names that were given to them. Now they are not their names, but that is a name that they often will go by, other than the ones that we may project on them through our own pain, frustration, anger. We somehow feel the right that we get to call people by whoever and whatever we want to. And I tell my children that, learn people name, talk to them, call people by their name. And it's so easy, even for me. I adopted, the word sweetie, and I have to catch myself even with my children, because even innocent names can actually open the door for not so healthy names, right? People can hear you say, "Oh, sweetie, oh, what does that mean? Sweet, what?" And then they can just go south from there. And so, respect is not uh, being blinded by people's their history, their family history, by what has transpired um, in their lives, in their family history, whatever it may be. It's not, people are not their cultures, they're not their traditions, they are not how they dress, they are not what they do that is separate. They are not what they do. They are their name, whatever it is that they go by, hopefully in a respectful way, or name that is healthy, not harmful to another person. And um, just realizing that, again, we are not what we do, we are not what has been, we are what's now. I believe we are divine spirits that are dressed in specific clothing, from head to toe. Our architect, the architect of our body, um, designed us in such a way for our earthly journey, a test of character, as well as for others, and being able to see past what you see, the physical characteristics of what you see, and seeing beyond that, seeing the light that is in that person, that every being is here for a purpose and has a reason, divine reason for being here, an expression of creation, and are have divine gifts, talents, experiences, a certain curriculum that they will go through to not be caught in that curriculum, but to be able to continually express the divineness in themselves. And that we see beyond, again, what we see. People are not what they do. It's a choice out of what is going on inside of them. It's a choice of the heart. It's a choice of the mind, and those thoughts that continually circulate within them. And that's one of the biggest things, is that we often label people. And speaking of which, I will do another podcast on this month, being child abuse prevention. My thought is it should be child protection. Like Mother Teresa said, I want to do a rally about peace and not about war. We want to focus on what it is that we want to carry out in this world. If we continue to focus on child prevention, we will continue focusing on child abuse prevention. We're continuing to focus on child abuse prevention. We're constantly putting that word out there. And as you know, any thoughts that we continue to hold on to are what we actually will see in life. And so, labels, when we start labeling people because of something they've done, we've put a mark on them. And often people will um, behave as such. And that was one of the things I learned when I was a child, when um, people would call one of my cousins, a certain name. And it almost as if I could see the transformation of the mask being laid on her, and here are these tears that are dropping from her eyes, like, I don't want to wear this mask, and feeling like she has been forced to do that because that is what people think of her. We often go by the color of our skin. We often, have these labels about our religion. We have these labels about our family history. We have these titles, and we get so wrapped up in these titles that we forget who we are. And sometimes, unfortunately, we use the power that has been put on us by these titles to a disadvantage, um, where it may be become advantageous to the person, but at a disadvantage to the other person. And so when we respect others, we respect them regardless of whatever title we may have. We give the same respect that we would give to a president, that we would give to a person, calling them by their name, not standing in their way, speaking to them in a polite manner, seeing the importance of them without the attached labels. I had mentioned before about the Bible verses that fall under respect. And it is one that says, Luke 6:31. When you think about the golden rule, is treat people how you want to be treated. And when I flip that around, I think about how you want to be treated is often how you treat others. And so if there's something going on inside of you, something that you're holding on to, some pain, some type form of identity, often we project who we are on other people when we don't take care of those issues that are in our heart, because out of the heart flows the issues of life. And I do believe that. What we're dealing with now, the thoughts, the prejudice, the racism, the abuse, the neglect, come from one primary source, and it is our thoughts. That's why I create a generational love cycle, not um, breaking the cycle of pain, but creating a cycle of love by changing the thoughts that started the cycle of pain. And pain comes in so many different forms. And we continue to carry that pain cycle by cycle, generation by generation, infecting others, dominating others and controlling others, and believing people are less than human, and believing they're less because of their gender, their sex, or whatever gender they decide to be. We think that they're less. So respect does not diminish someone's identity. If anything, it upholds it. That there's no one greater or lesser than the other. That you deserve the same respect or same thoughts or actions as anyone else, no matter what. There's also another verse that says, love your neighbor as yourself. And it said that, There's also another verse in the Bible, and that's Mark 12:31. So love your neighbor as yourself. What does that mean? We're given the definition of love in Corinthians. Love is patient, it's kind, it does not boast, it does not rejoice in evil, it protects, it guides, it hopes for, it perseveres. All of those things that tell us exactly what love is, and often we're looking for it in all the wrong places. Thinking that we're going to get respect if we do something for someone, if we, give something, if we become something. And respect is not about becoming someone that is um, becoming or changing yourself to gain respect, but it's just being. It's being naturally who you are, embodying and expressing and nourishing those virtues that are within you. And as a parent, I believe it is my responsibility to not only teach my children those virtues and who they are and help them remember, but anything that we teach as parents, remember, we reinforce in ourselves. And so if we're reinforcing consistently respect, then our children should not only hear it from our mouths, but also see it. See me giving respect to them, first of all, well, to myself and to them. Respecting my boundaries. When it's time to rest, when I have to do something, I'm not trying to be someone or be this superwoman or this super mother, but I'm actually trying to take care of myself so I can continually to preserve the body that I'm in, as well as helping them to do the same. Eating the right food, foods majority of the time, physical activity, sleeping, self-talk, how I speak to myself, just doing the things that I love, doing what brings me joy. As a parent, what brings you joy? Letting your children see that, respecting their voice, listening to them, listening to their opinions, listening to the things that they want to do in life. And often I said, what I say to you, I say to myself, again, as teachers, as students of life, again, what we teach, what we say, we continually become. It's almost like like I said, as you plant, you continue to grow, and you replant and you grow, and you become the fruit of your harvest through consistently planning and replanning virtues, planning like respect, and avoiding anything that is disrespectful. And that would just be the opposite, calling people outside of their name stupid, dumb, um, doing things, projecting your pain on others when you're upset, and either pushing, kicking, fighting, killing. When we think about the virtues, when we think about even respect, having that and embodying that would cover many of the issues that we have and we see: greed and murder, homicide and suicide. If we continue to raise children to remember who they are, to raise children by planting seeds that are fruitful, that are healthy, that are helpful, and it starts with one person, in your own physical, in your own dwelling, internal dwelling, as well as your physical dwelling, your home, whether you have children or not. How are we going to make this world a better place? And I say that we start with our thoughts, and we start with, sowing those positive seeds of thoughts that, again, calling people by their name and realizing there's no title, no action that labels you, that people have the right to believe that they can change, that you should not be damned for what you do. We see examples of that in the Bible. God did not curse Moses, or if anything, he became a powerful influence. Regardless of his stuttering, he became, and what he did, murder, he became a powerful influence that God used, because of not labeling him because of his past, but seeing the best in him. So we are on to our next word, which is responsibility. And I will be talking about that next week and letting you know how that went with us with responsibility. But I'm hoping, and what I'm seeing is my children saying thank you and saying please, and really understanding the that everybody is here for a purpose, and understanding that in order to that is so important to give respect, to respect themselves by doing the things that they need to do for themselves, and also to respecting not just family members and those that they know, but respecting people that they come across, learning those keys. And it's about, as a parent, man, it's just being consistent as much as possible. There are days that I feel like I win, and there are days that I feel like, okay, another day. But I look forward to speaking to you guys, and even hearing your thoughts. What seeds are you sowing with your children, with your family, with yourself? And are you seeing a difference? Are you seeing how your children address other people? Are you seeing that they are comfortable with talking to people other than their own skin color or background? Or if there's a disability, a physical disability, are they helpful instead of hurtful? They try to see what they can do versus um, not doing anything to help. So I'll talk to you guys soon. I hope your week is going well, and I look forward to sharing more. Talk to you guys soon.